Hello, candle lovers. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Greg, and this is All About Candles. I have a review for you today from Village Candle. This is Pure Linen. And this was a really, really lovely fragrance. The wax was a really, really beautiful, pure white color, which it's clearly not anymore. I thought that the label was nice enough, nothing to write home about. I like this format from Village Candle. It's a 21.25 ounce candle with 2 wicks. And it burns for 160 hours, or so they say on the website. I mean, it's impossible to clock it when you have candles that are burning that long. I really like Village Candle. I burn them a lot. I talk about Village a lot on this channel. I think they're perfect to burn in a hurricane on my desk because you can let these candles burn. I let them burn for like 6, 7, 8 hours sometimes without having any problems. You do have to be a little bit patient with Village Candles, because they will often go through periods of time where they're dudding out a little bit. And I find that the best thing to do is to just let them keep going, and eventually they correct themselves. Village Candle does say that with this 2-wick format, you actually do not want to trim the wicks. And so I never do trim the wicks on these candles. Let's talk about the fragrance. We got a doozy of a scent story for Pure Linen, my friends. You know how much I love to do a dramatic reading of a scent story. Pure Linen. The airy, fresh fragrance of our Pure Linen candle conjures up the image of freshly washed sheets line drying on a breezy summer day. The smell of this clean linen candle is fresh and crisp, with a soft floral note reminiscent of laundry that has been sun-kissed and fragranced by the delicate flowers dancing in the air. Enjoy multiple layers of mild and soothing scents in this fresh linen candle. Oh, I love a scent story, you guys. I have to say, I think that like Village Candle and Yankee Candle do some of the best, corniest scent stories. I just love them. We get a bunch of fragrance notes with this candle. The top notes are fresh, crisp, green citrus and lavender. The middle notes are jasmine and lily of the valley. And the base notes are vetiver and cedar. And I would say that the predominant fragrance in here is probably the lavender. And yes, it is one of those lavender fragrances that leans a little bit soapy. Obviously, it's a linen fragrance. However, this is really nicely balanced and rounded. There is definitely a little bit of a woodsiness in the base. And as well as the lavender, there is also a bit of a soft and sweet white floral component to this that I really like. I'd say that what I pick up on the most is that top note of a fairly sharp, slightly soapy lavender. And then in the middle range, you've got a white floral that's sort of sweet and soft and sort of like a supple and fresh white floral. And then in the base, something a little bit woodsy. I'm not sure that I would necessarily call out cedar, but sort of almost kind of a nondescript woodsiness, to be honest with you. And I don't really pick up on the vetiver. It says there's vetiver in here. I don't really pick up on much of a citrus. It's really just a fairly classic but nicely done like floral laundry fragrance. And I really, really loved this fragrance. But unfortunately, the good news kind of stops there, because even for a Village Candle, which I'm very patient with, and I give Village a lot of leeway because I really think they do some lovely fragrances. But this one was really weak, you guys. You know, even in a hurricane, in a small to a medium space, I'd say that this was probably maxing out for me at about a 5, maybe a 5.5 for strength and throw. At one point, it even spent a considerable amount of time in the small bathroom in a hurricane when I had company over. Even in there, I'd say to say that it was like a 5.5 for strength and throw was fairly generous. I never even really tried it in like the bedroom or my more open area because I figured it was gonna be pretty much completely lost lost. So the strength and throw was just not where I wanted it to be with this candle. And it was a little bit of a bamboozle because on cold, even now on cold, it smells like it should be a lot stronger than it was when it was burning. And so that bummed me out a little bit. I almost wonder if this would have been a good candle to have just put in the candle crock, once I had burned about halfway through it and realized it wasn't really delivering that much. Maybe I should have just crocked the last half of it. But more often than not, especially with candles like this, I really feel like I want to see it through. You know what I mean? So I did burn the entire thing all the way down to here. In some good news, it was a really, really nice clean burn, and these Village candles are 100% paraffin wax. I do think that they have some decent wicks on these Village candles, even though you do get some burns on them where you get a little bit of itty bitty wicks and teeny tiny flames from time to time. They do tend to correct themselves and burn really nicely from top to bottom with very, very minimal sooting or discoloration or anything like that. Obviously, this last little tiny bit of wax got quite discolored, but I did burn it until the entire candle had liquefied down at the bottom there, and that's when I called it a day. So overall, absolutely a lovely fragrance, but it's not going to be a repurchase for me or a recommendation for you, especially when other candle companies also have some really wonderful laundry linen fragrances that do perform and project quite well. I think that this is a little bit similar to sun-drenched linen. But that sun-drenched linen, you get at least a 6.5 or a 7 for strength and throw out of that candle. And for me, a 5 or a 5.5 is just not quite good enough, not repurchase worthy. You know what I mean? Anyways, that's all I've got for you folks today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. You can follow me on Instagram at allaboutcandles and email your burning questions to allaboutcandles@gmail.com. And until next time, my dear gorgeous and beautiful candle-loving friends, let's burn some candles and bitch about it. Thanks, you guys. Bye for now.